morning. This is Dr. Selena Hatt coming to you for our usual weekly chat with Hatt. I'd like to take a little time out of my busy day, loving on my pet community, to come and share some fun facts with all of you. So this week, with the warmer weather coming on, I have a fun little statement I'll make that bad company corrupts good character. Well, some of that bad company that we're going to talk about today is heartworm, fleas, and ticks. These are some very common and prevalent parasites in our county, and so I would like to take a little time to tell you about it and help you prevent it so that you can help encourage your pet to live its best life. Heartworm is an actual worm that resides in the heart chambers of dogs. It's not as prevalent in cats as far as that residency that it'll take, and we'll discuss that in a minute. Heartworm actually is transmitted through mosquitoes. So a mosquito will bite an infected dog, and then there is a baby heartworm which is called a microfilaria, and it will sort of harbor and nest towards the front of the body of the mosquito. That mosquito will then fly, will bite another dog, and at that point that microfilaria will actually literally come out of the head of that mosquito down that, I think it's called a Prevalence. I'm not sure on mosquito anatomy. They have more than 4 legs, so that's beyond my expertise. However, it will go right down through that bite, and that microfilaria is now embedded into the bloodstream while that mosquito is taking a meal. It's likely that mosquito's last meal, understandably. However, now that microfilaria is injected and infected your dog. That microfilaria will migrate through the bloodstream of the body and then take up residency in the heart. Once that microfilaria has embedded into the heart of the dog, it will have to grow. It takes approximately 6 months for it to grow to full maturity, where it then can become an adult worm that can actually then start creating more microfilaria. So now you remember in the beginning of the story, a mosquito bit an infected dog. So that means that infected dog had an adult worm that was already giving birth to tons of microfilaria circulating through the body of this dog. So let's talk about cats. Now cats can be infected with heartworm as well here in our county. And what happens with them is they're not an actual favorite flavor for the heartworm. Mosquitoes will still bite that cat, the microfilaria will still enter the body of that cat, but they don't really like the residency of the cat heart quite as much as they do the dog. And so they can have some secondary effects, because what happens is as the microfilaria are circulating throughout the body of that cat, they will actually house themselves in the lung tissue and actually die there. And so there are some tough clinical signs that some folks have actually overlooked on their cats, because your cat will typically manifest with the signs of coughing or wheezing, and people will often think, oh, that's just a hairball, or oh, they've just caught a cold. Well, your cat should be tested for heartworm just in case, especially whether it's indoor or outdoor. Heartworm. Well, all it takes is, in the span of that, let's say now it's been a year, or even some intermittent care and treatment prevention, that type of thing, the dog will actually manifest more with like a cardiac symptom. If you imagine a heartworm is now taking residency inside one of the valves of the heart can no longer function as productively and efficiently as it was meant to originally prior to infection. So your dog will start to show some exercise intolerance, some coughing. Some of them won't show any sign at all. This is why testing is so important, and we will definitely get to that in our topic today. Your dog will just go ahead and be exercising, living its best life. It's hiking, it's, or even just hanging out inside on your lap every day. And your dog is just, he's just lazy, or, and you don't notice much of a cough or a wheeze at all. And so these, it can be a bit of a silent disease in the very beginning, and then once we have a full-blown heartworm positive case, where that worm has not only proliferated with lots of microfilaria, infected lots of dogs, it also in itself has added more worms to the population, which then leads to what's called a dilated cardiomyopathy or an enlarged heart in the dog. In the cat is more of a, we call it a tornado effect, where the cat, usually it's not found until, honestly, after the cat has passed away. You'll do what's called a necropsy, or in human terms an autopsy, and you will find that there are little plaques, they call it, or almost like, if you can imagine, little pits in the lung where the heartworm has actually taken up residency, was unable to survive, and then essentially became a toxin that the body tried to wall off, making the lung then incapable of function. It's very sad for the cat. So what's the prevalence in Solano County? It's actually a myth that it's not a problem here. We have recent data that shows there's actually a new species of mosquito that has entered Solano County and Northern California that actually basically cohabits the heartworm parasite very well. It used to be another myth that we would hear a lot is, oh, my pet is indoors and therefore it doesn't require heartworm prevention. I don't know about you, but I've even been in my car or in my house and I'll be bit by a mosquito. And I don't normally see the mosquito, I just notice the bite afterwards because I'll have a nice little welt on my skin. The heartworm parasite actually prefers a shade-loving mosquito. The new species of mosquito that's out is also a shade-loving mosquito. So we've just escalated the potential for heartworm disease. We had a recent scare in my own practice this last week of a positive case, and we have finding in Sacramento as well as in Roseville. Both cats and dogs are still testing positive, a lot in the Bay Area as well. So it is here. Our little pocket of Solano County isn't necessarily have a magic bubble around it. Those mosquitoes, and you know how windy it has been, these mosquitoes definitely fly about very easily and are infecting your pets if they are not on prevention. Fleas and ticks are a couple other pairs of bad company that definitely can corrupt good character. Fleas and ticks are external parasites, okay, very different from heartworm. So fleas are a fun little critter that just loves to, they will bounce from cat to dog. They'll jump on people sometimes, don't care for the flavor of people, but there are some people that get bit by fleas, and sometimes that's how it's found out in the home. Typically it is more, though, it is a dog and cat parasite. The life cycle of the flea is something I just wanted to touch base on because the weather is getting warmer. There are 2 times of year that the fleas become very prevalent. It's because of the life cycle of the flea. One female flea can lay up to 5,000 eggs. Okay, and those eggs can become dormant as part of their, Darwinian life of knowing how to survive. This is their survival instinct. If it becomes dry or cold, they will go quiet. You take the winter time, all of a sudden the heaters come on, those flea eggs activate and they hatch and they jump on the dog, and here we go, or the cat. So it is a pretty fast life cycle, and if you think of one flea with 5,000 eggs, you have an infestation. And so typically, if you're going to see any kind of clinical sign on your pet, they will be itchy towards their tail base or their bottom, their rump area, and their inner thigh. They will also be scratching the back of their necks and their ears, but typically when you take your pet to the vet, your vet is going to be looking towards that rump area to see if they see any evidence of fleas. Ticks are definitely out and about in tall grasses. They do what's called questing, where they will sort of have their little legs out to try to grab a hold of any warm-blooded animal that passes by. There are several different species of ticks in our Solano County area, so if you have an active outdoor lifestyle, then your pet can potentially grab a tick or have a tick on their body just by going on a fun hike to enjoy a beautiful vista, and there they are. And so these guys, there's female and male ticks. The females will take a blood meal to nourish her eggs, and that's how they get that big, fat, sort of grayish brown bottom. That's a female tick, and she has a bunch of babies ready to go. And so the male ticks don't have that same quality. And so they are carriers of horrible bloodborne diseases, little blood parasites that can attack red blood cells on your dogs. And so this is another reason to prevent, because if bad company corrupts good character, look at the flea and look at the tick. I didn't touch base on one more parasite actually that the flea carries, right? So we already talked about how heartworms make friends with mosquitos. We have ticks that now makes friends with blood parasites. The flea makes friends with the tapeworm. So the tapeworm is a little fun intestinal parasite now, that once that cat or dog actually bites at its skin to bite and eat the flea to get it off of itself, then of course the flea is now gone because it's being digested by the animal, and open up the hatching of the tapeworm egg, which can then attach itself to the intestinal lining of your pet and then cause a tapeworm infestation. Those signs are typically very ravenous appetite. Usually there's little segments that your pet will defecate out and it will look like rice grains. So it's important that you share with your, this is why your veterinarian will usually recommend a regular dewormer if your pet has been infested with fleas, because even if you are not seeing any tapeworms, they would want to deworm your pet to ensure that your pet has zero parasite. They are getting rid of both those friends, that happy little pair of flea and tapeworm. So how do you get rid of them? This sounds like some terrible news, right? We have heartworm that hangs out with mosquitoes. We've got fleas with tapeworms. We have ticks now with blood diseases. It's supposed to be summer. We're supposed to have a good time, right? Well, every parasite has a preventative. So veterinary medicine has come a long way to try to add to the convenience for us pet parents, as well as optimizing the best treatment for your pet. So there's oral prevention. Now there's several products that are all in one to handle heartworm, flea, and ticks together. There's also topicals too, so in case you're concerned about having your pet be ingesting a medication, which are FDA approved, very, very safe, but there are some dogs that can manifest with some seizures with some of these parasite preventatives, so please consult your veterinarian so that you are choosing the best prevention for your pet. But there are topicals that you can use too. There are collars, flea collars I don't recommend, quite honestly, because they usually only cover a certain distance from the flea collar. But the Seresto collar, I will have to say, has been productive and a good collar that I have seen. If I'm going to name drop some products, I say people use HeartGuard Plus and NexGuard. They use Simparica Trio, that's a new product. One of my favorites is an injection called ProHeart 12. This is an injection that goes onto your dog, and it's 12 months of protection. It's impressive. So all you have to manage is your fleas and ticks. What's wonderful with this is that our pharmaceutical companies and your veterinarian have figured out that, we don't always remember heartworm prevention. And so let's just take that responsibility away, not because you're not capable of remembering it every month, but because if you miss one dose, you could potentially that's the only window that mosquito needs with its microfilaria to start an infection. And let me tell you, the treatment for heartworm is an arsenic derivative for your dog. For fleas and ticks, it's just treat the fleas and ticks with your topical or that monthly anti-parasiticide. But heartworm, that's a much, much tougher and more in-depth decontamination process for your pet. So why not prevent it with a single injection once a year when you come in to get your vaccines? So that is why that has been a new favorite for me, because I'm seeing more pets thrive. And if we're going to be a county that wants to be free of heartworm, then the best way to do it is to make sure and ensure the prevention 100%.
That's good stuff. You want to sign off? Or did you
Sure.
anything else?
I'm trying to think if there was anything else.
Talk about the heartworm preventative, flea and ticks.
I actually think I want to advocate, I'm going to do a veterinary advocacy a little bit, yeah. So why should you buy these products from your veterinarian? I'm going to tell you that the pharmacy companies actually have an incredible advocacy program for your vets, where if there is a flea infestation in your home and your pet is using their product, they'll cover the extermination. If your pet comes up heartworm positive and you've been using their product every month like you're supposed to, or let's say you're on ProHeart 12 and for some crazy reason your pet became positive, which we've never seen, but anything like that, any of those oral products, that company will cover the heartworm treatment for your pet. When you buy these products online, potentially through Chewy, Pet Meds, or any other pharmacy that's not directly from your veterinarian, you lose that guarantee. So it's something to think about, that it's not just about your veterinarian trying to earn money or anything. It's actually your veterinarian's in partnership with the pharmaceutical company to guarantee that your pet is living a parasite-free life. And so I want to extend that to you as so you have that education as a consumer, that while you are trying to watch your budget, you're also purchasing a guarantee that if it is ineffective, the company will cover whatever is needed. I've even seen some of these companies do dewormings, because some of the products have an additional intestinal deworming promise for that, and so there you go. So yeah, if you're going to give your medications just the way you're supposed to and take care of your pet to prevent heartworm, fleas, and ticks, then your company is going, that makes that product, is also going to support you as well, just in case there's any failure at all. Isn't that what we want? So take care, have a great summer. Remember, bad company corrupts good character. So keep your pets on their anti-parasiticides and their preventatives for fleas and ticks, and everything will go well. Thank you so much.